All right. So, the second series of Marvel Disney Plus stuff just finished yesterday. More close than 48 hours ago than yesterday, but still technically yesterday, since it is Saturday as of this recording. But some people are a little iffy on the finale, and I can kind of understand why. But I guess to start us off, Wade, I got three questions for you to just like get this rolling.
All right.
What did you think of the finale? What did you think of the series as a whole? And how would you rate the series as a whole?
Finale was. I'm going to break up the finale in two parts. The
All right.
first half of the finale was really good, and I enjoyed it.
Yep.
The second half of the finale was slightly clunky, and I didn't like some of the choices that were made.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the series overall, it's back to classic Marvel stuff, so nothing like I didn't expect to uh, be blown away by it by any means, but I also expected it to be good, and it met those expectations. It was good. It was obviously well crafted. Oh, I think it was well written. I think coming out of it, I care about the characters a lot more than I did going in, which obviously is a goal.
Yeah.
Um, and then, what was the final question?
Rate the series out of 10.
Rate this out of 10.
Yeah.
Um, I'll say 7.4.
7.4. Okay.
Yes. I don't
Um.
I don't know if we rated WandaVision, but WandaVision's higher than Falcon Winter Soldier.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we did either, but all right. Yeah, I think the finale was. I think the I kind of we kind of talked about this very briefly, but the main two things about the finale I'm the most about are how Sharon's turn as the power broker is strange because I've heard I saw that I think you're right. I think she was blipped. So
Yeah.
then she had what as of this it was 8 months since the blip. So then she had
Yeah.
eight months to become the power broker
Well,
and
not
get
even
all this.
that, because like the series comes in 6 months after the blip,
Oh,
and
right.
she's already the power broker.
Yeah. Yeah, so 6 months. And at this point, because at the time Zemo even says like, oh, he's like heard of the power broker. I forgot how he phrased it exactly,
Yeah.
but he's like he knows of the power broker. So within 6 months, she became the power broker, got all
And
the influence, and then created this sort of persona around herself.
yeah, not only that, Zemo found out about her while in jail
Yeah.
in those 6 months. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of my gripes that I have written down is that Sharon Carter is the power broker. If like I could see that as a possibility, if she wasn't blipped and she had like the 5 years of chaos where everyone got blipped,
Oh, for sure.
and she was still on the run because of her actions in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I could see that. That's perfectly fine. But if she actually did get blipped, I find that it's hard. It's hard to imagine that someone like her can get into Magipur, which seems like this. It's like this lawless land full of mastermind criminals. That she became one of the most influential mastermind criminals in that area within 6 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of my gripes. I also don't like it that she's the power broker in general. I mean, her last name's a Carter,
Yeah. Yeah.
with a long lineage of always being a good person, where like was Captain America's love interest and the first Avenger, and um, Captain America literally traveled back in time and spent his pretty much his entire life with her
Yeah.
at the end of Endgame.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a weird thing. And also it was pretty obvious that that's who it was. Like I kind of figured it out like in episode 2 or something like that. I was like, oh,
They were pretty heavy-handed on it too.
I was like, oh, she's either the power broker, which is kind of because that was crazy to me at the time. But then, like as time went on, I was like, okay, then she's definitely the power broker, if not like the power broker's right hand woman, or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely kind of it was like a twist that everyone saw coming from like 15 minutes into a movie. It's like, oh, this is probably where it's gonna go. But yeah, that and John Walker being like very kind of like buddy buddy with Sam and Bucky at the very end seemed kind of weird to me. Because even at the beginning of the episode, he was like all like, "Oh, I'm still trying to get over my friend's death, and like people are kind of triggering me real easily." But then once he like chooses to save that like van of people rather than chasing after Carly, then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm fan." I think one point he even pats Bucky on the back or something like that. I'm like, dude, did you like hated them all just like 24 hours ago, if that? And I don't know. I thought that was a little funky. But overall, I liked his character arc. Um, and I even watched a video and they were saying like how he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm back" at the very end. It's like, okay, did you learn your lesson though? Like, you're happy to be U.S. agent, but did you learn your lesson of not killing someone in front of a group of people with the basically the flag and representation of an entire country signified in your position? But yeah, other than that, I thought the finale was really great. I think, well, Captain America technically, but Sam Wilson's Captain America suit is, it's interesting. It looks really cool, but the more I look at it, the more I'm like, that looks strange. Like the like half
It's the
cowl
whole
he has on, like with
yeah,
just
it's
his
the whole
ears
neck
poking
to
out.
his goggles thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, if he
that was
didn't
kind of
have
weird.
that and just had regular goggles on, I think it would look a lot cooler.
Yeah, that and like his shoulders were like a little padded, so like his frame was like much wider than he actually was. It looks cool, but I don't know, it just kind of looked a little weird to me. But like the whole combination of like the wings and the shield, like especially when he protected that one person on like the road, and like he had the wings surround them and then put the shield above them. That was a really cool scene.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
overall, I think his suit looks pretty cool. It's a little weird, but it's probably just because it's first time seeing it and stuff like that.
So my another problem with Sharon Carter uh being the power broker, which like I didn't really think about it until I heard so I watched Jeremy Johns he does movie reviews on YouTube,
Okay.
and he did
Yeah.
he did a review of the finale,
Mm-hmm.
and he made a lot of sense when he said he doesn't understand why Sharon Carter would lead them to the scientist who created
Yep.
the serum,
Yep.
because she was the one who had control of the serum, and
Mm-hmm.
that by obviously what the serum does is $1 million slash potentially $1 billion value, and
Oh
she
yeah.
trades it all to get back as a U.S. agent to find out what they're doing and get their secrets. I don't
Yeah.
think that's a fair trade.
Yeah. No, because I watched the video and like, and if so, like if you take in mind her like actual position as the power broker, a lot of what she does doesn't entirely make too much sense if you were the power broker.
Yeah,
Like
and
everything she did was like under like the priority, like kind of like the Batman thing was like, oh, no one can find out who I am at all in any way, shape, or form, which is understandable in that position. But also at the same time, there was a better way you could go about it rather than just directly say, hey, I can lead you to this thing that these people are looking for that you don't want them to find in the first place. You could just be like,
yeah,
oh, I don't know. I mean, I sell some art here, but I don't really know about this dude making super soldier serum. So yeah,
yeah,
but
and then she fought in what was it, episode 3? She fought her entire squad and took
yeah,
them all out.
yeah,
Like that was
that
her squad then.
yeah, that part is also like very strange. It's like, who are you trying to impress? Like, ev- everyone that you like led there and are trying to fool aren't around you anymore. They're within a storage crate, and you're just kind of like beating up your fools just because you can. It's like oh maybe she was like giving him some combat training or something like that. It's like, hey yo, come over here, stay around this corner, and then we'll fight. We'll test your skills. But yeah, as a whole, as a rating, um, I think on a video I said like, oh, it was really cool, like all like the themes and stuff like that, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. I was like 9 out of 10. I was like, but now thinking about it, 9 out of 10 is a little generous. I would probably give it like probably an 8.2, mainly
Yeah.
because of like the themes and the very powerful just sources and ideas that were brought up in this, which is very bold of a company as large as Marvel, who doesn't really necessarily need to bring up these sorts of problems with like race and all this stuff into a show to get people to watch it. Like
Yeah.
they don't go to Marvel because like, oh, I want to see their social commentary, but they did it,
Yeah.
and I think that's pretty brave, and I think it really worked out for them. The themes that they had, and like the very ending with Isaiah Bradley, the ending of the show in general was like really emotional. Not like it's like, oh no, this person died. It's like just the physical impact of Sam Wilson as Captain America is
Yeah.
is gonna change the way people look at Captain America and just change the views of the United States in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, obviously, but it's going to change
Um,
it drastically, in my opinion.
Obviously, them setting up Falcon to become Captain America because of especially what's going on in the world now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of had to address something about race, and then bringing in Isaiah Bradley
Yeah,
as a former. I don't know if they ever back when he fought in like the Korea War. I believe that's the war he was
I
in.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know if they called him Captain America then, or because they kind of wanted to keep it all a secret.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if
So,
that was stated. Yeah.
but I think they did have to address it. It did feel, at least to me, it felt like Falcon's speech to the senators. It got a little preachy to me. Like I think he got his to me. I think he got his point across halfway through it, and then he kept going.
Yeah, I
Um,
could see that. Yeah.
so I think he just got a little preachy there, where it kind of like to me at that point kind of took me out of the show just for like the brief 20 seconds or whatever it was. But I do agree that they had to address something to that extent because again, with everything going on in the world and um, you know, Captain America, this as I think Isaiah Bradley said, blonde haired, blue eyed, white Captain America. They will
Mm-hmm.
never accept anything but that.
Yeah.
And and then and I really liked how they showcased uh, um, how Falcon handled that, dealing with John Walker becoming Captain America after
Mm-hmm.
he gave up the shield,
Yeah.
um, and then also having conversations with Isaiah Bradley. You could definitely see why Falcon would kind of turn his back on becoming Captain America, but it also shows you how big of a person he is to actually take that mantle on,
Mm-hmm.
even though that's something Isaiah Bradley told him no, what was it? No,
No black man can
self,
be captain.
no self-respecting
Self-respecting
black
black
man
man. Yep.
would do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that it had to be addressed. I think the they're not terrorists. They're people that have legitimate gripes with what's going on, and like that's totally understandable. Um, but then I think it goes on a little farther.
Yeah.
And my biggest problem with the series is I didn't really care for the Flag Smashers. I didn't care about them.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
tried to make Carly's death pretty impactful. I
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care for her. Like I didn't really care for her as a character.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like because there was like I'm sure you've seen there was like some whole subplot that was removed that was probably dealing with some sort of virus. So then
I did see that. Yeah,
because
they mentioned it like once in like episode 4,
yeah,
something about vaccines, and it, like never.
mm-hmm. And then I think that's what was that like what was called what caused the death of that Mamandanya, if I
Hmm.
remember her name correctly. So then they removed that entirely because of COVID, which I mean makes sense, but I wish they had that because I feel like that was probably the significant part that probably drew us in to connect with the Flag Smashers. But like you said, like at the beginning, Carly's like, oh, like I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I can kind of get why she's doing this and why she's like trying to like fight back. It's like, oh yeah, because like there's a lot of stories like rebels versus the Empire, that type of deal. But this, it's like, okay, I kind of see where she's coming from, and then she just like kills a bunch of just innocent soldiers like
Yeah,
halfway through the season, halfway through the series, and then you're kind of like, okay, maybe she's like kind of like getting like, oh, like power hungry and stuff like that. But then it doesn't really slow down. Like you kind of get what she's doing, but like Sam says, the way she's going about it is just wrong. Like
yeah,
just murdering innocent people, and when she like just tries to get that truck just driven off the cliff, it's like, okay, yeah, she's there. There's like no return for her, and I think if they had that sort of virus subplot, I think that would probably given us more of a connection to her, which was
yeah,
definitely probably lost and kind of ruined the Flag Smashers relatability.
yeah. That's definitely possible because you could definitely see it like half the world coming back all at once. Um, I mean, and you kind of see it the very first episode when they try to deal with loans, and as a financial
Yeah.
corporate slave, uh, like I could, and I've worked in banking, so like I could definitely see it where half the people are wiped away from the face of the earth
Mhm.
without any real explanation. Like they understand why and how it happened, but like they don't know what to do going on. So like the economy at that time and the next preceding months would just like shrink, like everywhere it would shrink, like so there'd be huge like financial crisis right off the bat. um and then throughout those 5 years half the world starts recovering with um recovering slowly but surely. Like the economy wouldn't even get back to where it was at the blip after 5 years, but it'd be like out of a recession slash depression that would have been caused
Mhm.
uh, by the blip. And then all of a sudden, all these people come back. Food is an issue. Then obviously money's an issue, and you can kind of see it when he goes and gets the loan, like um, where like the guy kind of says something to the extent of like everyone is applying for loans now because there's half the world's back, but
Mhm.
we don't have enough capital to do everything or anything.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see that as a big problem, especially with like a Marvel should definitely do a series where
Just
it's just
financials. Post blip
no,
financials.
not financials, but like there's so many like it's I would assume it'd be if I understand the concept of the what if series where each episode is its own singular like contained story, and it's
Mhm.
all these what if Captain America was a Hydra agent, or what if blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They should do one where each individual episode is a story based on uh, an individual or someone getting blipped back or dealing with the repercussions of someone else getting blipped back. Like the first episode, a wife gets blipped, the husband mourns her, grieves, moves on, and then 3 years later finds someone, marries her, has a kid, and then the baby's like a year old, and the old wife gets flipped back. Like
Yeah.
that's must see television.
Yeah, no kidding. Like there's so many reality TV shows that could be created just in the Marvel universe from the blip.
Hmm.
And then like I was thinking of this when you were talking, like I mean, you might know better than me, but like what happens to people's bank accounts after like if they're gone for 5 years, what's the likelihood of them just like taking that money and distributing it or maybe giving it
Uh-huh.
back to the government? If like people come back and everyone and half the people that were gone, if all of their banking information was deleted, because there's no reason why anyone would think those people would be coming back,
Yeah.
then they literally come in with $0 except for cash in their wallet.
At the time of the yeah. So if I remember correctly in my time in banking, if someone passes away, depending on how the bank accounts are set up, they are either already told beforehand
Mm-hmm.
where the money's going, or if that's not the case, it's given to a family member
Okay.
after proof of death and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and proof of relationship. Um,
Okay, then that makes more sense. The money wouldn't just be like completely deleted from their life, which would
yeah,
be worse, obviously,
but
but still.
but there is rules regarding surrendering an account to the state or government. So if a account like remains unclaimed or for a certain amount of time, the government will claim it as theirs, and it'll be just sent to them. So I
Okay.
don't know what the um, the time frame is for that, but around 5 years would be close.
Yeah.
Where if an account is unclaimed by someone for over 5 years, it'd be close to being claimed by the government, and it might be accelerated in a blip um, because obviously everyone's hurting and there's so much that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they might like it, the United States would have maybe a special Senate meeting and a special presidential order to reclaim blipped people's accounts.
Yeah.
Like that's another episode of the show I was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it'd just be crazy. I mean, it's kind of shown in Far From Home, when it's like, oh, then 5 years later everyone came back and it's people in the middle of a basketball game, and then people in the band show up and they just get plowed over by people just running down the court. Like, I couldn't imagine that, like, on like a highway situation, people are just blip. Well, no, but yeah, they could be blipped back into a highway, and then they could just get ran over right away. Like,
Yeah.
just doing normal mundane things. Like, let's say someone's at a construction site, and the construction site is now built, and they get put back in the middle of the house. Like there's so many like just regular like just normal day things that would just be considered crazy if like people just kind of randomly came back in the spot that they left 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I agree.
but yeah, that can be a whole different conversation from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to go off of a tangent off of that, but going back to it, I think what worked really good is just Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan's
Oh,
chemistry together.
they're so good.
They're so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like when when Bucky is helping out and he's kind of like flirting with the sister.
Yeah.
Like that's a hilarious scene. Like it's like whenever a buddy has a hot sister, you always tease him about having the hot sister.
Yeah.
So it's just like you could see that on the screen, and they just had this really awesome chemistry together,
Mm-hmm.
and I look forward because based off of the ending, I'm assuming they're going to have another season. It's going to be Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
Or something.
I think I saw that they're making a Captain America 4, which is going to be with Sam Wilson as Cap.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I could definitely see Bucky, or I guess technically White Wolf, whatever they're going to call him in the future, you know,
Yeah.
since he's technically not Winter Soldier anymore. But I could see like him coming into the picture just because of this kind of shared bond they have over what happens in this series.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned, like just a TV show, the best thing about having TV shows, even if they don't like give us these like huge plot reveals in MCU, there's so much character growth in just seeing them do like normal day things, like Bucky going to a therapist, Sam trying to deal with the family boat, when Bucky's just around helping with the boat, and then Sam's like, "Why didn't you use your metal hand?"
I'm right-handed.
I don't think about it. I'm right-handed. like there's things like that are just so good, just for like small like character development, and just like seeing Anthony Mackie just kind of laugh after that. That's just great scenes, and Just awesome writing, honestly.
And as good as those two are, Zemo is the best character in
Oh,
the series.
Zemo dancing. Oh my god,
Yeah,
that became such a meme immediately too.
instantly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the worst part about Zemo is he was in what 3 episodes? Because they
I mean,
probably
he was in. I think he was in every episode except the first one.
yeah. I mean, he was in every episode, but like
He
this
was
last
a main.
episode, he was yeah. This last episode, he was basically just like shown at a glance. His butler almost got as much screen time as him in the last episode, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the episode before he gets captured. So yeah, probably like 3.5 episodes of like actual screen time.
And every scene he was in, he was the best person in the scene.
He was so good. He was so good. And then I love when like they go up to his jet for the first time. Sam's like, "Where'd you get all this money?" He's like, "I'm a baron, Sam." he's like I'm evil Batman, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I do, as you kind of mentioned, I do like John Walker's story arc through the whole series.
Mhm.
And you could kind of see, like they did a good job at portraying of his motivations. I feel.
Yeah.
Um, you can kind of see him where, uh, his friend. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah. I know like his name was like
Lamar.
Battlestar Lamar. That's right.
Lamar.
Lamar
Yeah,
Hoskins.
Lamar.
Right.
Yeah, he was the guy kind of keeping him in check about
Mhm.
stuff. Like, hey, you're Captain America. You can't be doing this kind of stuff right now.
Yeah.
But you could kind of see his motivations. Like when he was talking to him, hey, if you ever had a chance, would you take the serum? And he's like, yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah. So, um, so I do agree. I like the story arc, and I think I will disagree with you just slightly on when you're talking about how Walker was buddies with them at the end.
Okay.
He was always I feel like he was always out to make friends with them.
This is
It-
true.
Uh, Falcon and Bucky, they
They're
they
kind
were
of dicks to him.
they were resistant in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
Like in the first few episodes, they're like, "All right, let me off the truck" or whatever. Those scenes where
Mhm.
they're talking like they had a trouble accepting him as Captain America, where he like John Walker understood the struggle that he was going to face by picking up the shield,
Mhm.
and he tried to put on a brave face. Uh, and when he found like when he was in fights with the super soldiers, he struggled. And then when he fought the
The Dora Milaje, I think
yeah the
that's what they.
warriors from Wakanda,
Yep.
yeah, and he's like they're not even super soldiers, and he feels
Mhm.
like you could kind of see his brain turning like we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
Um, so I do like his arc, and I think at the end it's still showing that he's still trying to be Buddy's buddy. It's not Bucky slapping John Walker on the back. It's John
Mhm.
Walker slapping Bucky on the back. It's like saying we're in the fight together technically for now.
True.
Um, I do like going forward. It'll be interesting what John Walker as U.S. agent
Mhm.
does. I do think Elaine Bennett coming in Marvel is huge, and I
Yeah,
guess
she was really good.
I guess I heard she's supposed to be in Black Widow. I guess
Oh.
I'm not sure if that's accurate, but I saw some rumors that her first appearance was supposed to be Black Widow, and so
Okay.
her coming in to Falcon Winter Soldier would be an even bigger payoff.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I could see that because it kind of seems like she works for some sort of like shadowy government agency or
yeah,
like
I mean, she said
military group.
yeah, she deals in the gray, right?
Mhm.
She even said something to that extent, and I think that's like this will be Marvel's going forward. This will be Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad, maybe
Yeah.
where 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 she's like Val is the leader and is kind of talking him around, and then U.S. Agent um, is like the leader of the actual fighting group,
Yeah.
and obviously she's been recruiting or will be recruiting other members to be a part of it.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see how they play a part. Will they be just straight up like villains, or will they be like nuisance?
Anti-heroes.
yeah, will they be like nuisance to the heroes, but sometimes come in and help out when needed, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how that ties into everything going forward.
Yeah, and going back to you talking about John Walker, um, like just like for like the first two episodes, he's literally just like he's just a soldier trying to do his best to be, what he thinks Captain America should be, and well, I guess in the first episode he doesn't really do much. He just shows up, but in the second
Hmm.
episode, and then like he gets rejected by Sam and Bucky like over and over again. He just gets irritated, and and like and then when Hoskins dies, he kind of just like goes full tilt, and it's I can see kind of see like what you're saying about him still trying to be like buddy buddy. It was just kind of weird how like they fought like not too long ago, and then he was like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, and all that stuff. But before I
that
forget,
was real quick. That was the best fight. Them two versus
oh, that was
Walker.
so good. It was
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, for sure. But then one other thing that was like really weird is how they stopped the like remaining group of uh quote unquote terrorists, the flag smashers, with tracking them with an app. I thought that was kind of weird to me. I was like if you give a the Winter Soldier or Bucky Barnes a phone with an app that you're using to call through like this cryptic flag smasher app, and then he just
Mhm.
keeps the phone. What the fuck do you think he's gonna do? Like you basically gave him a tracking device, and then you're surprised that he catches you with it. Like when I saw that, I was like, that's how they get the flag smashers. They don't just like find them trying to run away and run them down and catch up to them. Like I could see like them trying to run away, and then like I don't know, uh, Barnes and then Walker on opposite buildings just like sprinting and slowly catching up to him because there's like less like obstacles on rooftops, and they slowly catch up to him, and then they call everyone in, and then they capture him that way. But they just capture him through an app. Like that was kind of anticlimactic for me. I
Yeah.
forgot about that, and then that happened. I was like, oh, okay, and then they just get blown up.
Yeah, I mean, you see them being taken away, and then the guy closing the door says "One world, one people," or "One people, one world," whatever.
Yeah.
And so you're like, "Oh shit, they're gonna get free," and then they blow up, and then you
Get
see the
blown up.
butler just like closing a cap to a detonator, like, "I got him, sir."
Yeah, I don't get it. Like as I feel like kind of necessary that was just to make sure like there's as minimal super soldiers in the world that it just make it kind of down to a minimum, so there's less you have to keep track of as a universe and storytellers. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of so weird because like for a second I forgot who the old dude was. I was like, why is there just an old dude that just blew up these random people? Then I was like, it like took me like I don't know 10 seconds, like, oh, that was Zemo's butler, because we saw him like in one episode for like 3-4 scenes or something
Yep.
like that. And then I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. It's just not some like old random dude. Because like for a second I thought it was going to be like that a Thunderbolt Ross dude. I thought it was going to be him. Um and then he was going to be up there, and he like destroyed all the super soldiers or something like that. But and then it was the old butler. I was like, oh, that's just kind of weird. But it was kind of funny
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. So I think that takes care of all the super soldiers except for John Walker and Bucky.
I think so, unless there's some other flag smashers that got caught and we just didn't see them die or something like that.
Uh huh.
Because I feel like there was a lot of them, but then again, I don't think all of
I
them took the super soldier
yeah,
serum. So
they only took what 10 of the serums. They were only able to get 10 of the serums from the beginning,
yeah, something
if
like
I
that.
remember correctly. So
Yeah.
yeah, it will be interesting. And then I am curious to see like how they tie all these events in other Marvel properties going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And as you kind of said, if there is a Captain America Winter Soldier with 4 or whatever, um, well, obviously that will be the biggest tie-in, but it'll be interesting to see if it crosses any other storylines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then one other thing I want to touch on that I kind of brought up earlier about like the theme of like the race and stuff like that. Like there was one scene. I think it was probably the third episode maybe where they Walker and Hoskins go into that one area that were housing Carly and the other Flag Smashers, and
Hmm.
he goes in, and there's one point he says like, "Don't let them breathe," and I was like, with everything going on with that like line, that was crazy to me. I was like, and there's just like so many like tie-ins to just real life with that kind of stuff. And then with Derek Chauvin's trial recently, it's even hits even harder, especially with Isaiah Bradley's, I guess, kind of like reveal at the very end of the series when Sam like got him a podium and a little spot in
Yeah,
the Captain America museum, which was really cool to see.
I
But
do
yeah,
think, as I think we mentioned it, but uh, that that hug was one of the more powerful
oh yeah,
moments uh in Marvel. So
mm-hmm.
that was really cool to see, and
There's something about seeing a grown ass old man cry. It just tugs at the heart a little bit.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah, and then I I guess um what one other gripe that I had with the series is I enjoyed Bucky's growth as an individual,
Mm-hmm.
and you knew from the first episode that there was going to be something with Yuri at the end,
Yeah.
and I just feel like they didn't give us a big enough payoff because like all it was I need to talk to you about your son.
Yeah.
He was killed by the Winter Soldier, and then he
Reveals
looks
his
sad,
arm.
and
Yeah.
then that was it. Like I would have liked to stay on that scene a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I was
but
kind of hoping there'd be a little bit more too, but it was, I think like with them like just trying to wrap things up, I can kind of see how they were just like kind of cut it a little bit shorter. But yeah, seeing that scene a little bit longer would have been nicer, I think.
I am also pissed that he didn't get a second date.
He just kind of walks by, did like the kind of like he didn't actually do it, but did like the hand on glass thing. He's like, oh
Yeah.
no. um,
Also, I think my wife Mackenzie brought it up, but uh, when we saw that the end of the episode 5, when
mm-hmm,
he asks Wakanda for a favor, I'm
mm-hmm.
like what favor? What favor do they owe you, Bucky? They housed you for years, hiding you from the government.
And
You
then
owe
they
them a
got the
favor.
brainwashing out of your head, dude.
Yeah,
Basically saving your life.
yeah, you owe them a favor. You're cashing a favor in? Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't bring this up earlier, but when I rated the series, I gave it like a 8.2 or whatever. Um, and I think I agree with you. I think WandaVision is a better show. I think there was a lot more like kind of like teased at in WandaVision than this, and wasn't fulfilled and stuff like that. But I think with WandaVision, it's just so different that I think, I mean, yeah, obviously, Falcon and Winter Soldier are technically Captain America and the Winter Soldier now. It was a great show. It had like a lot of like deep themes to it, but in the end, it was kind of like the somewhat normal MCU movie where it's like kind of like action, fighting, backstory, action type of deal. Whereas WandaVision was just completely different than anything else in the MCU, which I think gives it like just this charm that unless I mean Loki might do it with like his kind of like time travel type shit and multiverse stuff that seems like it's going to happen in there. I
God,
think
I'm so excited for Loki. It looks
that
so cool.
it looks so good. Which I think that's the next thing we get, which I think was like June 11th. I saw.
Yeah,
So we act.
I think we get the month of May off to recover from the WandaVision, uh, Falcon Winter Soldier blitz that we experienced.
But yeah, we're gonna be in a bit of a MCU drought. As in drought, I mean we're not gonna have it for like a month.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I mean, unfortunately, that's what the pandemic like. It caused us a year of drought,
Yeah.
but then we get a huge surplus of everything
Oh yeah.
in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So that's that. But I overall, like, again, kind of reiterating, I thought it was a good series. I thought WandaVision provided more to the MCU and was better. I think it's just because they had such a weird concept that no one
Oh,
knew what to expect
oh
going
yeah,
in,
oh yeah, for
and
sure.
the way they delivered that product, and how excited, like, Doctor Strange is low key one of my favorite, like, Marvel characters' first movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and watching the end of WandaVision made me so excited for the Multiverse of Madness. Like,
It looks
that's
so good. It looks so
that's
good.
that's my most anticipated Marvel movie in
Oh,
the next
for
couple
sure,
years.
for sure.
Like, it tops Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, and
And
it
Spider-Man 3, they
has
have a
like all the
chance to.
multiverse shit going on there. Apparently, the guy
Yeah.
who did Doc Ock is actually going to be in
Yep.
it, which
Yeah.
is, oh my god, it's
And
gonna be
I don't
insane.
know if you saw this, but he also revealed in an interview that he's in one scene, he's being de-aged. So,
Oh
like,
really?
taking him back to when he fought Spider-Man the first time.
Oh,
So yeah, some of the comments were like, I don't know if uh, Feige is Feige's got a dot on him right now or not. But
oh my god.
yeah, so he said something to that extent where he's getting de-aged in a scene or two, which, whatever. It could
Mm-hmm.
be anything,
Yeah,
but
for sure. Yeah.
obviously, Marvel fans will just be like, "Oh,
Oh.
that's further proof that you know the multiverse is here, and we're gonna get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield for sure." That's not necessarily the case,
Yeah, no.
but
But yeah, kind of like going off what you said. I think the moment in WandaVision where I was like probably the saddest was when we got answers. Like having questions throughout WandaVision, like people's minds were able to just wander literally everywhere because of all the shit that they were putting in there. And then like
yeah,
when we got answers and when like Agatha was answered and then like we like kind of could predict what was going to happen next, I was like a little disappointed, but not because I didn't want those to be answered. It's just because that time period of like 5 weeks where it's like, what's going to happen in WandaVision? Literally anything could happen because it just changes every single week. And then like to have that to like be done, it's like, oh, now it's just like to the normal time period. It's like, oh, that kind of sucks. Um, but that was just like a special time, especially just on social media, just people freaking out about WandaVision and stuff like that. Um,
yeah, yeah. It was our first piece of Marvel content in a long time, and
that definitely helps too.
yeah, and it was done well, and like the way the series is, like, it's appealing to people who don't even like the Marvel, because there's not, especially the first few episodes, you don't really need to know what's going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe
Yeah.
to understand the TV. So you could jump in, and one of your first Marvel experiences is WandaVision, and that's perfectly like reasonable, and you could kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah, and you'd be as confused as a MCU veteran because it's just
Exactly.
so strange. The first, admittedly, once you get to the third episode, which is the blip, I think, or is it the
Fourth
Is it
episode
fourth?
is
Okay,
the blip with Monica.
okay. But yeah, until you get to that episode, you're basically on the same boat as everyone, except for the actual MCU people will just know a bit more about the characters and like kind of what their backstory should be, but
Yeah.
they have no idea what's going on in that situation, obviously. But yeah, WandaVision just has that like charm to it, literally because witches. But
Boom, boom, finger guns.
Pow, pow. But yeah, it's just like a non-typical Marvel, um, just content, which just makes it so much different than Falcon and Winter Soldier, which, like we said, is Falcon and Winter Soldier is really good. The action, even though there's probably not as much action as I thought there was going to be, the action that we got was so good, especially in that last episode. Like every single Lily pointed this out, like anything thrown at Bucky is caught.
Yeah. He'd be a great catcher in baseball.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like
And
nothing's
he
getting
grew up
past him.
when yeah, when he grew up when America's game was
Was
baseball, and
actually baseball.
everyone played it, so
Yeah.
he probably loves baseball.
Oh man. But yeah, any closing thoughts on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or technically Captain America and Winter Soldier?
Um, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan are great. Zemo's great. I'm interested in seeing what they do with John Walker and Val. Um, I mean, it scratched my Marvel itch. Like I never, I never left an episode disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Same.
every episode was good and it provided a lot. It enhanced Falcon and Bucky. It made Zemo uh, appeal to me as an anti-hero,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like I don't know what it is, but Marvel does their villains really good. Like Thanos is a
So
really
good.
good villain.
Mm-hmm.
Agnes was a really good villain. Zemo,
Killmonger.
yeah, Killmonger, great villain. Like
Amazing.
Zemo, he's like you understand exactly why he's doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his family because of the Avengers.
And
Like,
because of superheroes, so he's like, I don't want any more.
yeah, the world was fine without him. We
Mm-hmm.
weren't we weren't involved in galactic battles, and we dealt with our own just fine. For the last 2,000 years. I don't want and you can definitely see that. So yeah, Marvel does villains very well, and you can see why they feel that why the villains are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Zemo's kind of portrayed himself to be kind of a not necessarily an anti-hero, but I could definitely see him teaming up with Avengers in the future, um, and then for a price of some kind,
Yeah, for sure.
whether it be getting him out of Wakanda jail now or not. But
Mm-hmm.
um, and again, any Marvel content that has something to do with Wakanda is awesome.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. So again, as I said, like a 7.4, a great series. Not quite as good as WandaVision in my opinion. I look forward to Falcon and Bucky in further Marvel adventures.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait for Loki. That's my most anticipated Marvel TV show. So
Mm-hmm.
if that isn't great, I'm going to be very sad and depressed.
Yeah, I'm kind of like on the same boat. Like all the characters that they showed in are great. The only character I kind of question is Sharon, but I think almost everyone's kind of
Yeah.
on that boat. But I
Yeah.
guess it's just more of what they do with her in the future, and then if they do good with her in the future, then if I don't think anyone's gonna have a problem with it. But it's just a matter of getting there. But yeah, great series, amazing character development on everyone's parts, developing characters that barely been in the series, including Zemo. Um,
Yep.
but but yeah, it was very good action. The just quality of the show is insane. Like
Yeah.
the first episode when like we go on Falcon's mission, and
The
there's like
flight scene.
the flight scene,
Yeah.
the explosions. It's amazing. It is so good that it's so good that that quality is not necessarily normal, but can be expected of TV shows now. Which I mean, I think the first time like this sort of just quality in a TV show, I would probably say from my memory is probably Game of Thrones. Just like had like just big movie energy about it, you know.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely.
Um, but yeah, it was a great series, great character development. I honestly kind of like that there was less episodes of WandaVision, but the episodes were longer, so then they were able to kind of like focus on one aspect more. But then again, like we said, we both like WandaVision more because of the charm, and then just the difference in like story that has compared to anything else Marvel. But yeah, like you said, Loki. I'm super excited for that too. When that was first announced and like I saw the logo, I was like, "What the fuck is that? It's so strange." And then like the trailer came out, I'm like, "I'm all for it. Give me it now. I want it."
Mhm.
And it's like I was like, "Oh, I kind of understand why the logo looks like it's made out of four different fonts. It's because of the multiverse." And
Yep.
I think that's why I probably like WandaVision more because it introduces the idea of the multiverse, and it's like the first real one that does. And honestly, I think that's probably the most interesting part about the MCU moving forward, because after phase 4 or phase 3 ended, it's it's kind of like it's kind of like the bookend of a story. So it's we're kind of like starting over in a way, and then there's not all of this build up to this huge villain that we're not getting excited for. It's the start of basically something new,
Yep.
and to have something so different like the multiverse introduced is it just made me much more excited than honestly I originally thought I'd be, because going into WandaVision, like the first MCU thing back, I was kind of like, I mean, I'll watch it because I have Disney Plus and I love Marvel, so I mean, I'll watch it. And then like after the first week of the first two episodes being out, I was like, okay, I'm ready for everything MCU. Throw it at me right now. I want it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm excited as well. So we'll get to see how that goes going forward.